Namaste and welcome to this exciting episode of Sattology, Debunking Mythology. Sat means truth, Logos means a study or science, Sattology means a science of truth or study of truth. On the other hand, mythology means a fake lie imagination. It's a Sanskrit word. Mythology means a study or science of fake lie or imagination. And the way the academic structures are built up today, it is still the campaign of the colonizers, and it is going on and on and on. It never ends. And now these people have got another tool for spreading their fake information in the name of scholars. It's called scholarly consensus. And I do not know who is a scholar and what is the qualification of a scholar. Sometimes you can get scholarship in the wrong area too. Just like some of the terrorists in Afghanistan, if you call them scholars of warfare, it will be very wrong. You can say that nowadays. I would be surprised where there will be a terrorist inspired name. I won't take the name. You all can get it. The biggest terrorist which was killed by the United States way earlier, 10 years earlier. You can have a school in his name. You can have that, and that will be called a scholarly consensus. So it doesn't mean anything. Similarly, on the Indian medieval history, that the colonizers like Babur and all these Akbar, the colonizers of India, they came to loot India. In fact, Babur did not like India, and he wanted to run away from India every 3 years. He wanted to go to Uzbekistan. It was too hot for him. But he is described as a great king in India by the scholarly consensus in the universities, and the media picks it up. So anyway, so scholars of terror, I will say. So without delay, I have a very, very special guest who writes and who is very popular in India, and he speaks with his conscience and head firmly on his shoulder. So without delay, let us welcome Sri Prashant Pole.
Namaskar.
Namaskar. So the Empire, the Empire, this series which is coming up on the social media, in the OTT platforms. So do you think that they really know the history of Babur, or they don't, or they do not care actually?
Well, they really do not care in the sense that I don't think they really know the history. Rather, the way this series has been portrayed or series has been launched in a big way, they call it as a Hindi Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones in the sense that it's a very huge money is pumped in making this web series. So in that case, in that sense, everything is much larger than life kind of scenario they are trying to create. But for whom? This entire series, The Empire, is based on, or rather, is for the Mughal empires. The empire is for the Mughal empires, and this web series, is based on a book. The book is Empire of the Mughals. That's the name of the book. Empire of the Mughals, Riders from the North. This book has been written by Alex Rutherford. Alex Rutherford is not a real name. Actually, the book has been written by a husband and a wife. Wife name is Dinah Preston, and husband is Michael Preston. So Dinah and Michael Preston, they have written this book, Empire of the Mughal, Riders from the North. This entire Empire web series is based on this novel. Now, in this novel, they themselves say that it is an historical fiction. But the historical fiction is presented in such a manner that, yes, it is the history. And in the entire book, they portrayed or they created this Mughal empires as the great empires who has built the country, who brought the civilization in the country, who brought the culture in the country. They call it Mughal culture. Who, brought the Mughal architecture. They call it Mughal architecture in this country, and that's how the country was basically made as a kind of a big and large scale. That's how they are trying to create a picture by by presenting this web series, and that's basically disturbing because when it comes to Babur, when it comes to Jahangir, when it comes to Shah Jahan, when it comes to Aurangzeb, Akbar, they all are they are not civilized rather. They all have looted the country. They have they are really cruel in nature. But through this series, they are trying to create them, they are trying to portray them as the real great empires, the real great Mughals. And that's really the sad part of it. That's what I feel.
No, very well put, Prashantji. And the American academic world and the Western academic world regularly glorifies these people to sell the books. Okay, because when people are agitated, they want to know what is written in this now new, and they really want to agitate the natives of India, which are Hindus, which are the natives of India. Hindu culture is the native culture of India. They write with a purpose to agitate people, and then when they agitate, they sell their books. And most of the Americans and the British, I would want them one day, and if many, I'll make many other people happy. They must go through the Mughal rule once, and then they will understand what we are talking about. And so the my question to you is: were any of the Mughal rules, because you have done a lot of research on this, do you think of, can you give us specific instances about Babur and any of these Mughal rulers, whether they were civilized or not civilized, and what kind of atrocities they have done on the natives of India?
Really good question. Good point. This Babur actual name is Zahiruddin Muhammad. Zahiruddin Muhammad Babur. He was in the 15th and 16th century, 1483 to 1530. That's his period. He is basically from the Uzbekistan, Andizan. That's the area from where he belongs to. And he belongs to a Mongolian tribe called Barlas. Now, Babur's first cousin, his name is Muhammad Haidar. Muhammad Haidar has written one sentence which is very important. He says that the Chuktai people, Chuktai is basically their tribe, the language they used to talk. This Babur and his tribal people, they used to talk the language that's called Chuktai. So this Chuktai people are totally uncultured and uncivilized. They cannot pronounce this entire Zahiruddin Muhammad and all, and that's why they gave the name Babur. So why this Babur? Because of they couldn't pronounce the actual name. And he himself says, his first cousin says that yes, we are not really civilized, we are not really cultured. But in India and even the worldwide, the British authors, the American authors, and more than that, the Indian authors have tried to portray this Babur as one of the great civilized ruler who has, who founded this Mughal dynasty. And as a Mughal dynasty, did a lot of great and good thing for India. Now, Babur was, as I said, that he is basically from the tribe. He is from Changesh Khan and Taimur. He is basically a mixture of these two kind of tribes. Though he was from Mongolian tribe, he didn't like to have that. He said that I am from the Turkish tribe. In 1504, he conquered Kabul, but then he lost. He conquered Samarkand, he lost. Again, he conquered Kabul, he lost. He conquered Herat, he lost. Like that. It was keep on, shuffling. Sometimes he used to conquer, then again it get used to lost. But then he knew that India is a really wealthy country. India is a country where everyone was attracted that time. We all are aware about it since from the Alexander and even before that. Everyone knew that India is a great country. India is a country with a lot of wealth and all. So that's why everyone wanted to conquer India or come to India. So in 1526, he came to India he fought with the then Sultan of Delhi or India. His name was Ibrahim Khan Lodi. Now he had some, new, relatively new equipments and new arms with him, and the cruelty. These two factors really helped him, and he somehow won that battle with the Ibrahim Khan Lodi. Immediately after that, next year, he fought with Rana Sanga. Rana Sanga was a Rajput king, and he was very strong. And he basically, in spite of the Mughal rule, in spite of the Muslim rulers in Delhi, in the entire Rajputana, he was basically sort of ruling. So in 1527, the battle is called Khanwa battle. Therein, he fought with Rana Sanga. And again, as I said, that the kind of cruelty which he had. Now, let me quote an example of his cruelty. We all, now Afghanistan incidents, we all are aware about. Everyone is basically watching what's happening in the Afghanistan. And Afghanistan, Taliban and all, we all are watching. There is a place called Bajor, which is a border of Pakistan and Afghanistan. Those days, India was even up to that. So, in a Bajor, when he was coming to India, before even conquering that or even winning the battle with Abraham Khan Lodi, he came at Bajor and he fought with the local people of Bajor. Now, Bajor people didn't really resist him, because Bajor residences were, most of them were really converted to Islam, but they were worshipping the nature. They used to worship the banyan tree. They used to worship the river. They feel that river is our mother, and like that. So Babur brutally killed them. They all were Muslims, but because they were worshipping the nature, Babur killed them. He said that I do not like pagans. And what he did, after killing them, around more than 3,000 people he killed within few hours, and then he had created a tower of skulls. All this British historian and other historian have written this, a tower of skull. But why to refer the British or other historian? This Babur himself had written an autobiography. The name is Tuzuk-e Babri. Tuzuk-e Babri. Or someone call it as a Baburnama also. In Tuzuk-e Babri, he himself has mentioned this. Yes, I killed the pagans, because though they were Islam, they were not following all the principles of Islam. That's why I killed them. And he has mentioned how brutally he had killed them. And he has mentioned that, yes, he has created a tower of skulls of all 3,000 people from Bajor. That's the mentality. That's the way he was functioning, he was working, he was thinking and all. That's how he should be described, a very cruel and brutal kind of person. Then in the Rana Sanga's war with Rana Sanga, he said this is jihad. He has mentioned in Tuzuk-e Babri, he has mentioned many times, yes, I was fighting the jihad. He said it's not a war just to conquer another king. It was a jihad. He wanted to spread Islam. It was very clear, very, very simple. And he called himself as a Ghazi. Ghazi means a person who killed or who kills the persons who do not follow Islam. So the person who kills non-Islamic or non-Muslim people supposed to be called as Ghazi. So he used to call himself as Ghazi, and all his Baburnama or Tuzuk-e Babri, he mentioned many everywhere that I'm a Ghazi, and I fought a jihad against Rana Sanga and all. So this Khanwa Yuddha also, after this Khanwa Yuddha with Rana Sanga, very, it was a real cruelty, the way, very barbaric way he has, literally dealt with all the Rajputs and all. In 1528, he fought another, next year he fought another, uh, another battle, that battle called Chanderi. The Chanderi battle also, he said that it's a jihad against the Hindus. So I mean, he is not hiding anything. He very boldly and bluntly he is saying everywhere that yes, I am fighting jihad. I am fighting jihad against all the non-Muslim people. I want to make them Muslim, and I want to spread the Islam in the entire country, in the entire region. That's what he is again and again saying. That's what, you know, the true character of Babur, I should say. And that's what it should be.
See, one of the things which you just mentioned about the Babur's, he had a severe disliking for India. It is
Yes.
also well recorded. Like he used to run away from India every 3 years, and he writes that it is a place I cannot live.
Yeah.
The modern day, most of the Muslims also and Hindus also don't like Taliban. Hindus, obviously, because Taliban is the anti-Hindu force, but the Muslims also don't like Taliban. So, would you compare him to the current day Taliban and all the jihadi characters who regularly work on violence?
Yeah, 100%. Rather, the entire Mughal dynasty was a Taliban that time. People may say anything. The kind of Tower of Skulls and all, and again, the Tower of Skull I just mentioned about Babur, but very interestingly, this kind of parampara sort of was carried away by the other Mughal emperors also. So when I say that it was a skull of, uh, Tower of Skulls, when uh, this Akbar has fought with rulers in Bengal. The rulers in Bengal were Muslims, but when he fought with them, it was 3rd March 1575. He fought the Battle of Bengal. He killed brutally with so many people, so that he had created 8 big tower of skulls, 8 big tower of skulls. So making Tower of Skull is basically coming from Babur, and every Mughal emperor followed this. And unfortunately, many historians in India also, they are praising the Mughal dynasty. I don't know why, and everything is there, and no other historian you need to to validate this, because like this Suzuki Babri of Babur's autobiography, the Akbar biography has also been written, and Akbar biography has been written wherein Akbar Nama it is called, and this Akbar Nama, which was written by Abu al Fazl or Abul Fazl they call it, or basically his actual name is Abu al Fazl. He's a contemporary. He was with Akbar, so he has written Akbar Nama wherein he has mentioned this. He has mentioned with the date 3rd March 1575, the way he killed the people. Most of them were Muslim. That's what Taliban exactly is doing. Taliban is killing Muslims also. What Akbar did, Akbar killed the Muslims, and very brutally killed the Muslim in Bengal. And 8 big towers he has created out of the skulls of those Muslims people, mostly. That's basically the mentality of not only Babur, the all entire Mughal emperors. There was interesting incidents which was quoted uh, in Akbar's this thing, Muntakhan un Tawarikh, in the name of this book, written by Abdul Qadir Badayuni. He was contemporary to Akbar. He said that when Akbar was fighting the the war with Rana Pratap, there are so many Hindu soldiers and Hindu captains were fighting on behalf of Akbar, on behalf of this Mughal empire, against the Hindu king Rana Pratap. So both sides, mostly Hindus were there. So he asked, how do you, he asked his, general of the army, Asaf Khan. He said, "How can you kill? How can you identify that that person is the enemy, and he is not our own person?" Asaf Khan said, "What does it matter, sir? I mean, it doesn't really matter. I mean, those are kafir, these are kafir. Even if just by gunshot, if a person, if a kafir from our side killed, that's fine. I mean, ultimately we are killing the kafir. It's good to us. So don't worry. We're just firing. If any kafir is basically dying, doesn't really matter." That is the mentality of Mughal emperors, and that's not how it is getting reflected everywhere. Whether it's a Jahangir, whether it's Akbar, whether it's a Babur, all his and all his activities and all his battles, all his the way he has behaved, whether it's a personal life, whether it's a social life, everywhere it has shown that they were really non-cultured. They didn't have the culture. And I don't know that somehow it was brought that Mughals have brought the culture. It's the word is called Mughal culture, Mughal architecture. Now I'm really surprised, and I tried to really find out if Mughal have built such a great culture, like such a great this thing monument like this Taj Mahal and all, whether they have created such kind of great architecture in Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, and in that area like Taj Mahal. No, it's not like that. If they are really cultured, what kind of science, what kind of arts, what kind of other things they have really created there? No, you will not find that. So it is very clear that these Mughals were not really cultured. They were not civilized. They just wanted to have the really the wealth of India, and because they were cruel, they were this thing. Indians couldn't really resist properly. That's what I feel.
Both the Christian early history and Islamic history are filled with violence. And it has been proved by the historians. Check it out on Wikipedia also. Even though Wikipedia is run by the Muslims and leftists, but even they have described it. And we have seen what Taliban has done in Afghanistan. They destroyed Bamiyan Buddha. I
Yes,
believe they would have earned billions of dollars from Japan for maintaining them. Japan was maintaining them.
yes, yes,
And Japan used to give them $2 to $3 billion a year in 70s to maintain them. And Japan, and they were part of the UNESCO heritage. United
yes,
Nations would do that. So it is a history has shown people who hate cannot construct things; they can only destroy,
yes,
and this has happened. So you correctly said there are no monuments. Uzbekistan, anywhere you go, you'll see Indian workers producing the art designs, or those guys coming to India, copying it and taking it back.
yes.
They have not created anything. So the what is the conspiracy behind, or what is the mindset behind destruction of native monuments or symbols of culture?
Well, I think you're right. You're right. You rightly pointed out that they knew that they have to rule this country. They knew that they have to rule these people. So first thing, just destroy the symbols, destroy the monuments, which are just by seeing that, just by thinking about that, this local people of India, that is Hindus, may feel proud about it. One of them was Shri Ram Mandir in Ayodhya. Now Indians believe that Shri Ram was born in Ayodhya. Everyone believed that. So it's a very good large temple was built in Ayodhya. In 1528, after fighting with the Chanderi, Chanderi battle, that's Babur sent his uh, captain or lieutenant general Mir Baki to destroy the Sri Ram temple in Ayodhya. Now, who is this Mir Baki? Mir Baki is also from Tashkent. So Mir Baki went to Ayodhya. He fought there, and he destroyed the Sri Ram temple, and he has built a masjid, and that mosque is named as Babri Mosque or Babri Masjid. Now, why is supposed to do that? That time Ayodhya, the Sri Ram temple and all was okay. People were all were having a lot of their faith to this place and all. But Ayodhya was not a very great kind of town, very rich kind of town, a town where a lot of activities are happening or a lot of business is happening. It was not a business town as such. So why he went to only Ayodhya? Why didn't go to other towns, other places where a lot of business, lot of wealth, lot of other things were there? He was very clear in his mind that he wanted to destroy the symbol, which is, by which all Hindus feel that proud of having that. He just destroyed it, so that you do not have anything, any monument, any place for your faith. So he basically wanted to destroy the place of faith, and that's what he did. So not only Babur, but the other Mughal emperors like Aurangzeb. Aurangzeb destroyed the temple at Kashi Vishwanath, at Mathura. So the temples which are really, everyone follow the temple, everyone, have a lot of faith about that place and all. Aurangzeb tried to destroy those temples. Aurangzeb destroyed so many thousands of temples together. I mean, if we start discussing about how Aurangzeb destroyed or tried to destroy the Hindu culture in this country, we do not have time for that because it's so much, too much. One has to talk about it. But in spite of that, this country sustained. In spite of that, like today, people are really worried about the Taliban. That in Taliban, if you are there and they have seen the phase 1 of Taliban, now they have to see or they are going to see the phase 2 of Taliban. Phase 1 was horrible, and phase 2, they feel that it is even much worse than phase 1. India had so many such phases. Each Mughal emperor, or why only Mughal? All these Muslim emperors had such kind of phases. This Portuguese, when they came to Goa and all, they did lot of atrocities. So all these Muslim rulers, they were the real invaders. They tried to destroy this culture, and they wanted to, made this entire country as an Islamic country. And they wanted, that's why most of them were saying that they are the Ghazis. The problem is that so far, these invaders were painted, portrayed as the real great, creator of the culture in this country. That's basically the problem.
No, you said the right reasons over there for the Babur, and there's a book called Babur Nama where he has confessed also. So
Yes.
what is he written in his own book? Because most of these people, they proudly claim, they're not ashamed of it. They proudly say, and according to them, is they become a bigger hero the more they subdue the kafir. So according to their culture, so we may think that they're being nice to us, but they're very proud in their internal circles. In fact, the Taliban takeover was actually celebrated in the Pakistani American community also. I know many people who celebrated it. So what is your view on this? Like, they become local heroes.
No, you're right. You're perfect. This Suzuki Babri, which is called Babur Nama. In this Suzuki Babri, Babur has very proudly said that what I have done, as I just explained, that he himself have called as a Ghazi. He said that I have fought the jihad against this non-Muslim people, and I brutally killed them, and I tried to, made this as an Islamic country. That's what very proudly he had written. He also had written the kind of, brutally he had killed the people from, that Bajor 3,000 people he has killed. That is mentioned in this Babarnama, that is Tuzuki Babri. He himself has said that though they were Muslims, they are not really following all the Muslim principles. They were the pagans. They were really worshipping the nature, the river, and all. That's why I have killed them. And and he has written that I have, built a tower of skulls of all these people. So he has, written everywhere very proudly that how cruel, how brutal, how uncivilized I am. That's everywhere he has mentioned this Tuzuki Babri. At the same time, not only he, when it comes to Akbar, in Akbarnama, Abul al Fazal Fazal has written that. Then also he has mentioned about how great Akbar, that how he has killed the non-Muslim people and all. He has mentioned properly. Similarly, when it comes to Jahangir autobiography has been Tariq-e-Salim Shahi. In Tariq-e-Salim Shahi, he has mentioned, he has written that during the rule of Akbar and Jahangir, 5 to 6 lakhs of people, 500, 600,000 people means Hindus. He has specifically mentioned Hindus that they have killed. In Tariq-e-Salim Shahi, which was translated in English, page number 225 to 226, very proudly he has said that yes, we have killed, that Akbar and Jahangir, we have killed more than 5-6 lakhs of Hindus, and very brutally we have killed them. So everywhere they have not only confessed, they have very proudly said that yes, we have done that. Unfortunately, we didn't really read that. Everything is in the book. We really didn't read that. That's basically a problem of our historian problem.
So one of the major problems in the academic world, whether it's America or even India, in America nowadays, for the Native Americans, a lot of American government runs a lot of policies for them. If you are found to have a 10% of native blood, then you are given a lot of tax benefits,
Mhm.
And the second thing also, simultaneously they do it, they make all their gambling centers in the Native American reservations. So both things go on simultaneously. So they earn the money and they spend it all also. Okay, and so that's what they do. And but in India, we have seen that the educational curriculum is against the natives, generally against the natives. In America, there is a sort of they are accepting and they are sorry, generally sorry for what they have done to Native Americans. So do you think that is also needed in India? First, by admitting that most of the Mughal invaders were terrorists, like, for example, Tipu Sultan. He hated Hindus like anything,
Yes. Yes.
and he ran campaigns. And the Babur, Akbar, they regularly hated. And one of the things the biggest hate was one of the programs I recorded here, we did was on the Assam, because they were
Mhm.
never able to conquer Assam. So they never mentioned Assam also. And but
Yes.
Babur was scared of Cholas also,
Yes.
and he never attacked Cholas also because it was a bigger army. They only attack the weak and the oppressed, and most of the times they use the Hindu soldiers through coercion and threats to fight against Hindus. They never fought themselves. They were behind the close quarters. So so this is a classical case of all the Islamic terrorism all over the world. They hide behind women, children, and they hide behind the local population. Right now, they hide behind the leftists in the academic world. The leftists are their front right now.
Yes.
So in what context we can call these Mughal emperors as brave? How can we call them as brave or people who can really good values?
Uh, you're right. I mean, how can we call them as a brave? But you know what happened, particularly in India, when in 15 August 1947, when we got the independence, we had a lot of opportunity to rebuild our country. Now, to rebuild our country with all the new concepts, with a lot of progressive thought and all, the major contribution or major role is played by for any country is the Ministry of Education. It is the Ministry of Education who set the proper goal, proper symbols, proper you know, anything which everyone will feel is a pride of the nation and all, that one should do. So Ministry of Education is very important ministry in building a nation, specifically when the country is now free and is now trying to rebuild itself. Now, who was our minister of education immediately after the independence? It was Maulana Abul Kalam Azad. Now, who is this Maulana Abul Kalam Azad? He basically he was a poster boy of Congress. Congress wanted to have one Muslim kind of icon, that yes, we also have Muslim, and we are not only Hindu party, we are a Hindu Muslim party. So that for that icon, they have made this Maulana Abul Kalam Azad as a poster boy of Congress, just to fight the Muslim League and this Barrister Mohammed Jinnah. So this, and the the important point is, when Nehru announced the list of its ministers on the 3rd of August 1947, it went to the, it was a press release. After after Vallabhbhai Patel, the second name was this Maulana Abul Kalam Azad, because Congress wanted to show that yes, we also have the Muslim. Now, who is this Maulana Abul Kalam Azad? His ancestors were the invaders from Afghanistan, today's Afghanistan. They were the ulemas of Herat. Now, in the Afghanistan, Taliban and all, we all are aware about this Herat and Kabul and all. So they were from Herat. Ulemas from Herat. They came along with the Babur, and they were the invaders. They fought with the Babur's army and all. And then in the first, war of independence, rather in the war of independence, in 1857, his father, Maulana Abul Kalam Azad's father, he ran away and went to Makkah. Now, in Makkah, he found a local girl and he married with that girl, who is the mother of Maulana Abul Kalam Azad. Maulana Abul Kalam Azad, then they came to India, and his entire education was in madrasa. And this Maulana Abul Kalam Azad, when he became young, he started two Urdu weeklies. One is Al Hilal and other was Al Baghal. He was the founder member of who started this Khilafat movement, and he was the founder member of this Aligarh's Jamia Millia Islamia. Now, why I'm describing this, that the way he was brought up, the way he was totally gone through the entire culture and all. Problem is, I mean, he's a Muslim is not a problem. Problem is that he never found the real roots of this country. Being a minister of education, one should know the roots of this country. Now, he didn't have the roots of this country. That's the major problem. And he was the education minister for 11 years. And today he is considered as a great education expert and educationalist and all such things. So that is the unfortunate part of India, that a person like Maulana Abul Kalam Azad became the Minister of Education from 15th August 1947 to next 11 years. He was there, and that really had destroyed the real history of India. That is not, whatever we were taught is not really the real history of India. For our, primary and, this primary schools, or even for that sake, that middle schools, the Mughal Empire was taught in a more descriptive manner. All the photographs and all, I still remember that I had seen that photo of this Babur and this Akbar, Humayun and all. And I still remember that we read, or we were taught as they were the great kings of India who brought the real culture and real architecture in India. So if such kind of education was given to Indian students in the beginning of the rebuilding of the country, what's the fate of this country? And natural that's how the brainwash was there. And that's precisely such kind of these web series which are coming out, this web series, The Empire, is a classic example of this, which is trying to create a brainwash. Because, as I said, that this is a historical fiction, but people feel that it is a real face of Babur. Now, when I went to the Amazon just to find out that what was the review of this book, the entire web series is based on this book. As I said, Nikhil Advani made this series, and he said that we are loyal to the book. He didn't say that whether the Babur is correct or correctly portrayed or not. He said that we are loyal to the book. And this book is basically portraying this all the Mughal emperor as a really great. So many of the British so-called scholars and authors have commented or given the review of this book. I just read just one. Manda Scott is one of the author from Britain. She says, in Babur, Rutherford has found a real life hero that spark true heroism. And most of them have written, we really didn't know about this Mughal Empire. We really didn't know this Mughal Empire was such a great empire that they had a major impact in the world history, world economy. Many of them had written like that. So whatever you have projected, the entire world will start feeling that, yes, Mughals were like that. And that's basically, they are trying to create a very false history. And for this, lot of money is pumped. That's basically the problem, because a person like Babur, a king like Babur, who destroyed the Sri Ram temple, how can in India such a huge money is pumped to create a series to glorify him? This is really ridiculous. But money is pumped, maybe from India or outside India, we really do not know. Actually, the entire web series is inspired on the earlier one of the Turkish web series in 2014. That web series name was Artugaral Ghazi. Artugaral Ghazi. Artugaral Ghazi web series was very famous those days. In 2014, was basically created or produced by TRT. TRT is a Turkish radio and television. That channel was there, and that time it was very well famous, and it was that time called the Muslim Game of Thrones and all. So therein they have glorified the empires who built the Ottoman Empire. So the Osman, who was the founder of this Ottoman Empire, this Artugaral Ghazi was his father. So it's based on that, but then all the Ottoman empires, it was talking about that. And it created sort of heroism about all these Muslim empires. This series was dubbed in Urdu. It was shown on Pakistan TV during this first wave of this pandemic, COVID-19. And it was telecasted, or it was shown in Pakistan TV on 24th April 2020. It was the first time it was shown in Pakistan TV. And Imran Khan has praised this series like nothing, Artugal Ghazi and all. Inspired by this, they have made this, they have created this, the empire on the Mughal empires. And that is, unfortunately, they are trying to portray, they are trying to show the wrong history, but they are trying to show this in such a mega scale that a common person, common people who do not read much, who do not know much about our history, they started feeling that, yes, this is the real history. And that's basically the problem of our country now.
The Turkish were themselves invaded by the Mughals also. We all know the history. And it is usually the Stockholm syndrome. Now they become the biggest supporter of the same activities through which they were conquered. And you just mentioned the Nikhil Advani. Again, I know him. He's Sindhi again. And I'm connected to Sindhis very closely. And we have seen generally the most of these oppressed communities become very favorable to the oppressors. That is Stockholm syndrome.
Stockholm syndrome.
So is this what is going on? Like the The people who were heavily, like, they started, they were in jail for too long, they start they start glorifying the jailer. That's what is happens. So do you think the rest of the people who were not part or not oppressed, they are the ones who are raising the voice more than these people who are suffering from Stockholm syndrome?
Yeah, you are right perfectly, and you used a very correct pinpointed word, that Stockholm syndrome, and that's one of the problem of our country. Stockholm syndrome was such that when this Indian Airlines aircraft was basically they hijacked in the last day of 2000, 1999, and they took it to Kandahar. So after 4 or 5 days, when all the passengers were freed, when they came out, some of them started liking the hijackers. That's basically the Stockholm syndrome. And herein, there are two, three type of people who are supporting such kind of thing. One is the real people, as you rightly said, that like Nikhil Advan and all, probably they might have the kind of Stockholm syndrome, that even little favor if they did with the oppressed community and all, people start feeling that yes, this Akbar and all is very great. I was reading about Akbar, one of the very famous journalist in India. He said that why you are always cursing Akbar, after the fighting the war with Rana Pratap, Akbar has changed, and Akbar has given some kind of some discounts and some freedom to the Hindus and all. This is Stockholm syndrome. This is the problem about this journalist, about these people and all who felt that yes, they'd given little favor to our community, and yes, they are really great. That's number one. Number two is that there were genuinely the people who had gone through this kind of education system, and who genuinely feel that yes, these Muslims were really great, and others are just opposing them because they are Muslims. So what if they are Muslims? They really brought the great culture, great architecture, great paintings and art and so many things to India. They tried to make this India as a as kind of, they created infrastructure in India and all. That's what, there are people who genuinely feel that yes, it is correct. The actual scenario is totally totally reverse. It's totally different, the other way around, but people genuinely felt that. So one is the Stockholm syndrome people who felt that yes, they are good. Other is the genuinely people felt that yes, probably this Muslims are really dismayed our country. And there are third who probably knew that, but they wanted to have their kind of school of thought, and they want to establish their school of thought, and these people are from the left. They, whether they know, they do not know, they felt that no, they have to propagate this. These three kind of people are propagating, saying that yes, Mughals were great and all such things, because they do not feel that we should have proud of our own history, we should proud of our own people and all. That's basically reason, and rest all are really, when people started understanding that yes, what kind of these people were there. And today when they see that what is happening in the Afghanistan, how the Taliban is behaving, and then they really started realizing, oh yes, our ancestors have really encountered with so many such Taliban dynasties with a long duration, but still they sustain as Hindu, and that's really the great strength of India. That's what I feel.
The web series, the Netflix and other places, they purely go by the quality of movie making and the story which they're trying to say. You can say a wrong story, but make it well, they are going to accept it. It's a purely commercial platform. They have no political bias. They might have leftist bias, but you can see a lot of movies there which are anti-left also. you
Yeah.
know the it all depends on how good movie you make, but we have not seen a counter movie to this culture yet, and there's no novel written on it, that how the counter culture. And see, the category which is used is very strategic. It's called historical fiction. So now you can't blame anything. Fiction means it's not real, and
Yeah.
historical means it is part of history. So now both of them, it's like a it's like a oxymoronic statement now.
Yeah, yeah.
Historical fiction is oxymoronical because ideally it should be historical non-fiction, but it's a
Yes.
historical fiction. So most of the people will not understand the subtleties behind the words chosen here. But we have not seen an alternative to that, or rather, it has not come to the limelight. See, the most of the Indian investors or Indian movie makers, they still work on the West idea, the Western ideas, because it gives them credit. It's like something. The mindset is we have to prove ourselves to the West. That is a colonial mindset, which is still going on. It is much lesser in India. If you go to South America, you'll be shocked because the golden hair and the white skin is considered God, literally God, even today.
Uh,
Even in countries like Mexico, which was way richer than Spain when the Spaniards looted them, and now again it has become richer than Spain. So, but India is the only country which has retained the culture still. So, will there be a chance? Maybe motivation for the. It should be a motivation for the young filmmakers or people in India who can make a series which is the something uh, historical non-fiction on the same accounts. What do you have to say on that?
you're right. You're right. But I see a kind of major change in the attitude or the mentality of the people in the film industry, people in the art industry, and people in the theater. That changes since last 3 4 years, particularly. I could see that they started, thinking in that direction. They started feeling that yes, we should also create and we should also show the real history of our country, and that real history has really great drama, great kind of art, great kind of attraction into it. So people suddenly would love that. It's not a very boring kind of thing. The history has a real sense of struggle and the drama and all such things. All thrills are there. So people have started working on that. They are very less. They are minority right now, but they are working on that. And people are thinking in that directions. That's a good sign, I could say. And I personally feel that in next 5 years down the line, that's by 2025 to 2026, during that period, we will have lot of such serials, such movies, such dramas on the issues which are, or on the characters which really have built the nation. Because it was only last 4 5 years people started understanding, started knowing that yes, we also had a great character in our country, the character on which we should proud, and the character which have, portraying, showing that character, one should have lot of thrill, lot of drama, lot of action, and everything. So I am quite positive that very, such kind of very positive kind of films, movies, dramas, novels would certainly come in near future. That's what I feel.
The Stockholm syndrome is removed by a counter propaganda that the Stockholm syndrome, like the Jews had the same problem. Jews were uh, every country they were discriminated against. India is the only country which never discriminated against Jews, and that is true with Yazidis, Kurds. Kurd is the land still occupied by Turkey still today, and Armenia has genocide of Armenians by Turkey is well known in the history. But the Stockholm syndrome in amongst the Jews was removed by building the Jewish nationalism, which was most of the Islamic countries don't like it, Zionism. But I just say that it's a response to remove the Stockholm syndrome. In India, such attempts have never been made till date, and where the state has actively worked hard to remove the bad histories or the histories which are not conducive to the majority of the voters in the country. Majority, I would say 90% in India, 90% voters, depending on any faith,
Yes.
they oppose this kind of wrong history being taught. Do you think that there is a response needed from the academic side? Everything starts on the academic side, People may like it or not, but everything starts from the educational centers. Nothing starts from the political side. Political side responds. Do you think a movement should be made, like something like correcting the history or removing the Stockholm syndrome of Hindus, something like that is needed in the society? Looking at the Jewish example, looking at the Polish example, looking at the even the uh, example of the South Americas now. Mexico is very nationalistic. They are the first time they've asked Spanish to apologize and to give the money back. It is said that $2 trillion was stolen from Mexico, approximately today's value, to make Spain rich. And Spain again became poor because of their own policies. But do you think that is needed also?
Yeah, I fully agree with you that narrative is set by the academical, environment or academicians. So narrative cannot be set by the politicians. It is basically set by the academicians. And unfortunately, in last 60, 65 years in India, there was no such movement as such. So, I mean, there was a movement, but it was the voice of it was very feeble. It didn't have much strength into it. But as I said, that things have been dramatically changed in last 6, 7 years, and the people from academic world also started thinking over that. Now they are boldly coming out, because so far they were really worried if they talk something about boldly, they may lose their job or may have other problems in their academic uh, career. So now they are coming out. Now there is a moment. Now there are the people who are working in that direction. In this Azadi 75 that or Swaraj 75 the thing move, in the entire year, we are talking a lot about the people who struggle for our freedom and all. I personally feel that the academic world has also understood this, that yes, so far for so many years they were teaching the wrong history, the wrong concepts, the wrong nation building was happening so far, which they are trying to correct it. I'm positive, as I said, that the academical world, which I could see last 2 to 3 years, a great change in the academic world also. They are thinking in that direction, and in very near future, you will find the real change in academic world as well.
It is the duty of the nation's leftism to oppose nationalism, because the left represents the colonial powers, whether it is Islamic or Christian. They both represent both of them, and left is used as a face mask. It's the ghostly face mask which is being used by both of them to continue the colonial side. So still the colonial versus native fight is going on. It's not gone away. So people may say whatever it is, but the left really represents the colonial parties. So and I don't believe in the right also, because the right is not always right. I believe in dharmic, whether we should not be neither left nor right. We should be in the middle, dharmic. See, we have to judge both sides. That's intelligence. So the left versus right was created, but now it is completely, the narration is totally different. If you look at the left, they support everything colonial. They don't want to change anything, status quo, and that's where they gain power, and that's where the leftist historians and other people gain global legitimacy, because of they are representing the old colonial powers. So the old colonial powers are still funding the left. So and this is a very classical strategy. Most of the people don't get it. People think that left is just now creation, Stalin's creation. No, Stalin represented the old school, the czars. So the this kind of insight you cannot get from a regular academician, somebody who is in the system, and the social what do you call it, scholarly consensus makes it impregnable for a normal commonsensical thinker or dharmic thinker to get in. So do this is a very, this topic that you have chosen is giving me a lot of insights also. So do you think there is a need for pushing it now, because the media, which is controlled by the left, and I said that left represents the colonial powers, and the rest of the people are the commoners. We are the commoners. Like, we have no say. We cannot even qualify as scholarly consensus if you have a PhD from those degrees, and you won't get a PhD unless you sign the papers on the dotted line that you will represent them. You won't get a PhD also. So what is the recourse now for people like us?
Uh, I agree with you, but the decolonizing of minds is already started, and it will take time because the colonizing of the minds took the last 70 years after Britishers left India, and colonizers were not only Britishers, were that Muslim ruler also. So that entire thing went with generations by generations together. So it will take some time to decolonizing the effects, but that is started. I mean, that positive side is that it started. People started working on that. There are a lot of seminars, a lot of symposiums on this, that how to decolonize the these kind of things into from the Indian brains and minds. So I think that decolonization effects will very soon will be obvious, as particularly in India. One can find that yes, the decolonized minds will proudly will come out and will say, okay, yes, this is our history, and we are proud of being an Hindu and all. So that will come very soon. It will show the results. That's what I feel.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for coming and sharing and getting deep into this topic. And just you opened a can of worms, and which will be also part of my next book. Some of this will be part of the
Ah,
next
great.
book as I'm researching more and more. And thank
Good.
you all the viewers for joining, and do come on the YouTube and share it widely, because we really want this kind of discussion to go mainstream. It's applicable to USA, it's applicable to India, applicable to South America, applicable to any part of the world which was colonized, and African nations also. We have some viewers from Africa also joining. And thank you all, and namaste.
धन्यवाद.